Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of Slinging Dirt. This week, we didn't do a lot of racing this weekend, so we're just gonna kind of talk about different subjects. This week we're gonna talk about chassis builders.
Gonna talk about some interesting crate motor debates.
Yeah, we're gonna be hitting the rev limiter on quite a few of these things. We're gonna be talking, I think it's really cool, we should mention Malvern's Bank and Savings out of Malvern, Iowa. We're gonna be talking about them and their involvement with dirt track racing for a little bit.
And we can't forget everybody's favorite, Jamie Songer.
Oh yeah, good old Songer says. So stay tuned, we got that and a whole lot more. It's Slinging Dirt. Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of Slinging Dirt. I'm Buddy Ray.
I'm Matt Dennis, everyone.
So let's just get straight to it. We got quite a bit to talk about. It's gonna be a little bit of a shorter show, but still a lot of topics to talk about. Right out of the gate, we gotta mention Adam Armstrong. Holy cow, folks, if you're wanting a personal loan, wanting to rebuild your race program, wanting to find that 0.2 of a lap to make you faster, right now, Adam Armstrong is the guy to help you. 4 wins in a row. And like you said, 2 of them were for $1,000. So if you need a little money, go see Adam. He might help you.
You gotta remember, he bought himself a new helmet now, though.
Oh yeah. You know.
He won weekly race at Stewart.
Yep.
Won the Harris Clash.
Yep.
Won the weekly race at Boone. And then he won the Bones Memorial at Stewart.
And when he does it though, when he's racing, he's not one of these guys that are all over the track, darting in and out of cars. He's just very smooth, very methodical.
Which is almost unheard of, being as slick as these tracks have been that he's winning on.
Yeah.
Because those are the tracks that new drivers are, well, any driver, but especially a new driver, struggles the most with.
Yeah, I don't know what he's got underneath the hood of that jet car, but whatever it is, it's working really, really well. To go to 4 races and 3 of them are specials and you're winning that, you know, last week some of the people out there might say, well, the first race at Stewart that he won, there was only 11 cars. Yeah, there was 11 good cars there.
Yeah.
It's not like it was a bunch of backyard marker 15th place B feature quality cars. There was good cars there.
And that race wasn't even handed to him. Him and Sean Cooney battled the entire race, and it came down to the last corner of the last lap.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not like he's just running away with some of this.
You go to Boone, he's only ran Boone Speedway, I think 3, maybe 4 times total. You know, and for him to go to Boone, I know he had to start, you know, middle of the pack at best. You know, and for him to come forward and to win that, there's no slouches at Boone Speedway either. I still think they're getting 20, 30 cars for a weekly event there. And then you go to the Harris Clash, and there's absolutely no slouches at the Harris Clash.
No.
I mean, that is some top-notch, grade A type driving going on there.
And from what I understand, the Harris Clash actually had 119 cars between 2 classes. And I didn't get to watch much of the footage from the Clash, but from what I understand, there was a lot of really good racing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there was some stuff that happened that we don't need to talk about, but the racing outside of that I heard was actually really good.
Oh yeah, the Harris Clash is really, it's one of the crown jewels in racing.
It really is.
Yeah, it's great that we have the Bones Memorial, which that's quickly becoming a pretty good, well-known special event, but the Harris Clash, a lot of people know who won Super Nationals. You go to a night of 1,000 stars, people, that's another crown jewel. The Harris Clash, that's another crown jewel. That in racing is what I consider a resume maker right there.
Right.
You won the Harris Clash. When you go to the Harris Clash, you had to battle it out. You had to be good. Your stuff had to be point on. Your setup had to be point on. In some ways, I think these smaller specials compared to a big special like Super Nationals, I think in some ways the Harris Clash is actually bigger than the Super Nationals. The Super Nationals to me is just how lucky you are. Not so much, I mean, yeah, your stuff's got to be good and you got to be spot on, but it's more luck at Super Nats than it is something like the Harris Clash.
The deal with Super Nationals is guys go there to win, obviously, do the best that they can do, but it's not about the money or the prizes or whatever contingencies you get. It's about the nobility and prestige that you get from it.
Right.
And not saying that some of these smaller tracks and smaller specials, it's because you're just going to get a paycheck. But these specials are small enough, we're getting enough guys to them, but they're big enough where they're noticed.
Right. The Harris Clash to me though, I was thinking about this last weekend. You take these tracks that have these specials, and the Harris Clash to me, part of me puts it in that top realm of specials like the Super Nationals. But then as a driver, I'm telling myself, well, at Super Nationals, you have 342 cars. At the Harris Clash, let's say you've only got 60, 70 sport mods. But the Harris Clash doesn't have a lot of the same stuff going for it like the Super Nationals does. I'm not knocking Super Nationals, but you don't have the wild party drinking stuff like that. These guys are more focused on the race itself.
Right.
And let's be honest, Super Nationals, great event, fun event. You and I have been there many a times, and I'm not gonna lie, we've had fun, but I sincerely think probably half the crowd that goes there, even with the race cars, they're specifically for the fun. I don't know if they're specifically there with a mindset to go win a race. It's the nightlife, the party atmosphere that draws them in there. You know, IMCA couldn't have said it any better when they said it's America's racing vacation, because that's exactly what it is.
And that's how a lot of people treat it. I mean, they pack the trucks and trailers in so tight, it's hard to get out. Mm-hmm. And for certain classes, you do have to leave and come back on Saturday, but that's just because the parking area is not quite big enough to house 1,000 trucks and trailers.
Yeah.
Literally.
But back to the Harris Clash, when I see or hear Harris Clash, to me it's just like, oh my God, this is, I mean, when you win this, I mean, it's, people don't forget, you know, 5 years from now, who won the 2016 Harris Clash? That guy right there, Adam Armstrong. But we were talking earlier this year, he was gonna be a guy to watch.
Right, I was thinking that as soon as we started recording.
You know, and I got to thinking, is this a guy that could be a national contending guy in points? We were talking about that. I sincerely think so. Maybe not this year because he did move to Des Moines area. He's relocated, but within a year or two, if he puts his mindset to it, is he a nationally contending guy for the points in sport mods?
Yeah, I really think he is.
By all means.
And especially since, as most of us know, the state of Iowa has some of the top racers in the nation. Not saying that there's not good racers anywhere else, but the majority of them are here in Iowa, right here in IMCA country, I guess we'll say, with so many different track options and so much different talent you have to compete against. I mean, you could be racing weekly, door to door with the guy that's third place in national points and you're fourth place in national points.
It makes me wonder with Adam's success, if some of that hasn't been due simply because he did relocate. And I mean that in the sense that when he left the Beatrice, Lincoln, Nebraska area, we've got really good racers down here at home. I'm not gonna take that away from anybody. We got some incredible talent. But when you race this incredible talent over and over and over and over, all of a sudden I'm not saying that they don't become not incredible talent, but you just get used to it. It's just like,
right.
Oh, well, here's so-and-so and here's so-and-so. But now, when you go into that central Iowa area, as much as I like our weekly guys around here, I sincerely think that the north central region of Iowa, in the central region of Iowa, I seen it at the Knoxville Speedway, or the Knoxville Raceway special. We raced against an entire field of incredibly talented drivers. And so when he made that relocation, he actually drove against other people that were already in the top rankings. He's racing against the Llewellyn's Weekly. Who in southeastern Nebraska races against the Llewellyn's Weekly?
Weekly? Nobody.
And honestly, I think the Llewellyns are one of the top 5 teams in the nation in a sport mod. When you're racing against the likes of Matt Webbs, the Llewellyns, and some of these other guys that are up there, Jake, I think his name's Jake McBurney, I can't remember. But when you're racing against these top guys in the sport mods, you don't see these top 5 national teams racing Eastern Nebraska. Once again, Eastern Nebraska is loaded full of good talent. But how many Eastern Nebraska teams do you see in the top 10? There's not hardly any.
There's not much. With the way their tracks are, to start the season, to start the national points run, some of those guys are top 10 points,
Right.
top 5 points. But then as the season progresses and this other talent starts to come around halfway through the season, 3/4 of the way through the season, that is where the Nebraska guys sometimes start to dwindle down on the list. But like you said, you got to look at the likes of the guys running out here in central Iowa, because it's no slouch, it's no joke. And
that's what I'm saying. When Adam relocated over here, he literally went into the belly of the beast, and he's traveling a little bit. He's been to, I believe, Algona. I don't think he's been to Harlan. He's been to Stewart, Algona,
Fort Dodge.
I think he's been to the fairgrounds in Des Moines. I could be wrong.
I don't remember.
I think maybe he was going to go there and it rained out. But he's been to a lot of new tracks, but when he's raced against these top guys, I think that just made him better. That's why I think, Adam Armstrong is definitely a top 5 sport mod in the nation. Could he make a run for those points? Absolutely. You don't hardly ever see Adam starting 10th in the feature and finishing 15th. It's Adam Armstrong starting 15th and finishing 3rd in the feature.
With his relocation to Des Moines, I think not only racing different drivers, especially the caliber drivers, but I think racing the different tracks, because the tracks here are completely different than the Eagle, Nebraska track that he would run, or the Beatrice, Nebraska track he would run. I mean, he just kind of fell into a routine with those tracks. So like you were saying, he's different tracks, different drivers, completely different deal, and he's still out there stomping them down.
Oh yeah. And when we talked to him at Stewart Speedway, he was so likable.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just, the whole time he had a smile on his face, and he almost looks like, when he talks, he almost talks to you like this kind of.
He almost comes across like he's shy or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, dude, you're Adam Armstrong. I mean, come on. But you're gonna talk to me like this, and he's so nice, and like you said, it's almost like he's shy, like he doesn't. He's almost got the Ricky Bobby routine that's like, what do I do with my hands? What do I say? I'm just waiting for him to be the next racer that comes out and says, well, I piss excellence in the morning and just do another Ricky Bobby type deal. Somebody else I knew that.
Yeah.
That's what their mantra used to be. Yeah, you know who I'm talking.
Yeah, I do. I know how that all got started.
Yeah. So.
And he does have a t-shirt that says it.
Yeah. So with that being said, Adam Armstrong, he goes to get back on track, he goes to Stewart Speedway for the Bones Memorial. Oh my God. I don't know when the last time Stewart Speedway had a B feature in the B mods. And there was no shortage of talent there. You had Josh Sink, Ryan Jenkins, Sean Cooney, Adam Armstrong, Clint Llewellyn, Austin Llewellyn.
Jared Weston maybe.
Jared Weston was there. I'm sitting here going, my God. I mean, it was incredible that the talent that Stewart got for that.
And those guys, they are just, to us, they're just weekly racers. We've ran against them a few times this year, but they've got talent, and a lot of it.
Ryan Jenkins, I think he's leading national points in NASCAR. And what's he got? 8, 9 wins this year?
I think he's got 10, I think.
Maybe somewhere in that ballpark. So these guys are no slouches. I mean, these guys are really good. I think Cody Havens might have shown up. Cody Olson showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, the B mod or Sport Mod feature, however way you want to look at the Sport Mod feature at Stewart International Speedway, was just stacked and deep.
Oh, Jake Sacco was there.
Jake Sacco.
Jake's had an incredible year also.
I mean, good Lord. So with that being said, Adam Armstrong, you are definitely on fire. You've been a great guy to talk to. Awesome, fun to watch on Facebook. I do want to thank Jamie Songer
For employing you.
Jamie, it is well known that Adam Armstrong loves to lay sod, the more the merrier. So I say that's very sarcastically.
But just remember one thing, Jamie. Give him a raise. He needs to go racing more.
Yep. So tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back here on Slinging Dirt, so stay tuned.
Does your car smell as bad as Jamie Songer does? Come on down and we'll take care of you. Well, we're gonna scrub all your vinyl, we're gonna clean all your seats, your carpet, everything. We're gonna put a conditioner on it, make a nice shine. It's gonna last for a long, long time. Then we're gonna head to the outside of your car. We're gonna do a nice hand wash with a buff with a nice hand wax finish. Call us at 282-4339.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff with DriveDirtCars.com. Does your current race operation look like this? Well, if it does, give us a call at 815-990-2657. We're actually financing Harris Race Cars and CMC Crate Motor Connection crate motors for your racing operation. Our payments range anywhere from $200 to $350 a month. If you'd like to get a new motor or you'd like to get a new chassis, give us a call, 815-990-2657.
Dude, this guy just went after this guy's wife over something stupid.
Was that same wreck that I just seen?
Oh, where he like put the guy, looked like he put his right rear in the wall. And now he's bitching about it because the guy that he just stuffed into the wall is going over and trying to like argue with them and the officials.
Wow, that's a pretty big group getting together for that fight.
Yeah.
This stuff's getting out of hand.
Whatever happened? Oh, hey, by the way, welcome back to Slinging Dirt. What the hell ever happened to the days of having fun and going racing? At what point did fun leave the equation?
I got a feeling that it was about the same time the sport started getting overly expensive. Guys started taking it too serious because now they complain all the time when they pop a $110 tire instead of a $80 tire.
We go to Mayetta 2 weeks ago. Not gonna lie, by most racers' accounts, we didn't have that great of a night. We barely DNF'd. I pulled off with 1 lap left to go. But with that being said, we had 2 bent front rims, a bent center link, a bent inner tie rod. The pull bar moved and relocated itself on the rear end all the way to the right side.
Gears.
The gears exploded in the feature.
Left rear wheel.
Left rear wheel, yep. And if I'm mistaken, were we kicking and screaming?
No.
No. In fact, I think it was you that was in the trailer. In fact, one of the guys that got into me was Austin Charles, and we were joking about it. We were laughing, making jokes about it.
And we were parked right next to each other.
Yeah. You know, we had the car fixed in 49 minutes. You were clocking us. We had the car fixed in 49 minutes. We move on to Stewart International Speedway the next night. But you were in the trade and you're like, now this is what racing should be. We were listening to the radio, drinking our sodas, working on the car, fixing it. Every time you strap into a car, folks, you take that inherent risk of totaling a car.
And it's not a matter of if it happens, it's when it happens. And people seem to lose sight of that because all they want to do is piss and moan when they get a piece of dirt stuck to the nose piece of the car.
Yeah, the negativity in today's sport, I want you guys to think about this. We've all seen that Donald Trump commercial where kids are sitting around watching TV or the computers and Hillary Clinton's, mocking Trump, and Trump's like, well, a reporter was going, blah, 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 and this lady was bleeding out of her eyes and stuff like that, and Hillary comes on, this is our children, is this what you want to see your children watching the president? And I'm not going to sit here and argue politics, but at some point, she's got a point. It's no different than dirt track racing. People, the kids, those 10, 12, 13-year-olds, those 5-year-olds in the stands, that's the next generation coming up. I would love to see what racing's got in store. By the time some of the 5-year-olds get in the stands, we're going to have cars with fuel injection and maybe even hovering around the ground, which would be kind of cool. Hovercraft races. Can you hear a hovercraft at 6,200 on the chip? It sounds like something the Jetsons would fly. But with that being said, the negativity, everybody's bitching because car counts are down, tracks are closing up. People, look at what we're doing. We're poisoning the very generation that's coming up right behind us. And it's real easy to go, well, it's social media's fault. I don't think it's all social media's fault. I think that's a cop-out and an scapegoat for a lot of people.
I don't think it's social media's fault at all.
No.
Social media doesn't post that stuff on its own.
No, it's,
Somebody has to do it.
yeah. Social media just doesn't wake up and go, well, I'm just gonna post on Buddy Ray's page today.
So the sport to me is having issues because, and not all of, but some racers,
Yeah.
some fans, even some promoters get on there and complain. So it's not social media that's doing it, it's the person behind whatever account.
It's kind of like people claiming that guns are dangerous and guns kill people. No, guns don't kill people. It's the people that pull the trigger on the gun that kill people.
Well, isn't it a spoon that makes a person fat, not the person using the spoon?
Yeah. Maybe that's what I got going on. I've been using those great big tablespoons.
Well, that's because Rachel feeds you the dog's leftovers.
Oh, she does. Trust me, she does. But anyways, back to this negativity stuff. It's shocking. And I know some of you people are gonna be out there, oh, it's social media. I have my freedom of speech, yada, yada, yada. Just remember, it's your freedom of speech that's going on social media, that you've put on social media, that's killing it. You could have 100 cars in the pits, some of the top racers in the races racing, but yet you only see the grandstands half full. Why? I mean, I know there's a lot of factors that go into that, but social media is a huge, and I never thought about it like that. Social media is a huge factor of that, but it's not social media's fault. It's the person that types it on social media's fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole the spoon made me fat gimmick.
You know, there was an altercation over at Stewart International Speedway during the Bones Memorial. I'm not going to mention racers. It's not important. But this guy's calling out this guy for some guy going into the stands and some guy got into a 60-year-old woman's face. Do I condone it? No. Did it happen? I'm not for sure, but it was put out there on social media. So now if you're one of these city-born yuppies that wants to take a liking to dirt track racing, which we need all the fans we can get, they're going, well, my God, they got grown men getting in the face of 60-year-old women. I don't want to take my kids there and see that. You know, if that happened, you know, I'm not saying great, it happened, but deal with it at the track. Don't put it on social media.
And not like deal with it at the track like I'm gonna go kick your ass, but talk to the person.
Yeah.
Talk to the person.
You know
Give
what?
them some time to cool down if you have to, but just talk to them.
One of the things that a lot of people have loved about me racing, God knows I don't win very much, but we're working on that. But with that being said, number one thing I hear is I don't post a lot of negative stuff on my Facebook. We don't post nothing negative on Slinging Dirt.
I was gonna say, both our personal page, we try to keep drama, negativity off of it.
Yeah.
The Sling and Dirt page, we put none of it on there. It's not accepted. It's deleted if it's put on there.
And we've caught a few times that's happened, and I think it lasted all of about 2 minutes and it was gone. and that's being generous on time at 2 minutes.
Unfortunately, those people didn't get into it middle of the night when we're sleeping where everyone can see it. So
Yeah.
we do police the page pretty close.
Yeah, we police the page pretty close, but with this negativity, people stop. It's, you know, instead of, you might have had a bad night. Hell, we've had bad nights. We've blown trannies, we've blown motors, we've bent rear clips on cars.
We haven't done any of that since I came around, bud.
Yeah, that's true. So, with that being said, instead of bitching and complaining about that stuff, hey, Adam Armstrong won the race. Congratulations. Todd Cooney won the late model race. Congratulations. That's what people want to follow. Not this guy put me in the wall and drove over my stuff and he got in my mom's face and threw the nachos that were $4 at her. I mean, people don't want to hear the negativity.
And that's one thing that I try to do off of my personal page is, especially if I know them, it's good to say good job on the weekend or congrats on the win, but I do still try to get out there to random drivers. Hey, you know, I've been watching what you're doing with your racing. You're doing good, keep it up. Have a good weekend this week. Just the little things like that instead of the whole bash everybody down.
You know, I want you guys to, and women out there racing, hell, promoters, crew members, it don't matter. Here about 10 years ago, this is a true story. About 10 years ago, there's a guy out of Eagle, Nebraska. He drove in the 360 sprint cars. Never put nothing negative on Facebook. Yes, we had Facebook 10 years ago, folks. He didn't put a lot of negativity out there 10 years ago. MySpace, I think, was actually bigger than Facebook.
It was. And as soon as Facebook came out, MySpace just disappeared.
Yeah. Regardless, MySpace is social media. But the guy never put nothing negative on social media. Now pay attention. This guy gets out of the car. He's not running very well. He's got a crowd of people around him every night after the races, and he's just shaking hands and legitimately shaking hands and asking people how they're doing, thanking them for coming out, stuff like this. Well, there was another sprint car driver pitted 2 stalls down. This was the guy that was heavily sponsored. He's the first one to get out of the car. Oh, this track is a piece of crap, and I can't believe the promoter did that, and I can't believe this guy hit my right rear, and this guy just cuts people off, and he's just running everything down. Guess where that guy's sponsor went?
Over to the humble one.
Over to the humble one, the guy that never complained. That sponsor went over there. The guy didn't know who that big sponsor was. He knew the business, but not the owner of the business. So that guy, for 2 or 3 weeks, was walking around the humble guy's car, not knowing, or knowing that the driver didn't know him personally. Well, this guy's never complaining about nothing. Did he have bad nights? One night he totaled a car. Got out of the car, didn't really, it is what it is. I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is.
Say there's nothing you can do about it. Damage is done.
Yeah. Come to find out, that sprint car driver ended up getting a $25,000 sponsorship off that. People, when you're running your mouth on social media, if you're in the stands running your mouth, when you're in the pits running your mouth, I want you to think about this. Well, if I'm getting in this guy's face, you know, and I'm a driver, how do you know XYZ sponsor's not 2 rows behind you watching your behavior? I can guarantee you, and Matt can vouch for this, I've got sponsors that watch what I say and do. I've been coached by one or two of my sponsors. It happened in Vegas last year very well, actually. And there's a lot of maturity that goes out there with not going out there and bashing people and tracks and stuff like that, but you never know who's watching what you put on social media. And that's no joke, that's not sugarcoating it, that is the blunt truth. You never know who's watching.
Right. The only way that you can remotely come close to getting around who's watching on social media is if you have a completely private page.
Yeah.
There's still ways around it.
Well, yeah, I might have a private page and you can be a friend on my private page, but now you could always screenshot that and it still gets out there.
Right.
Don't leave it at the track, folks. Leave it at the tracks. Have I gotten mad in the years past? Oh, absolutely. I've thrown the drive shafts for pit stalls. I've gone out into the feature at a couple of tracks and I've flipped people off. Is that right for me to do that? Absolutely not. Does it hurt the image of the sport? You bet it does.
And just thinking of this all of a sudden, I don't know why, but with the negativity thing, it gets old for drivers and crews to deal with the same car that keeps running people over, running into them, taking them out. And there's not much you can do about somebody's bonehead actions out there, week in and week out.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's not. So you do have to grin and bear it. Nature of the beast.
I understand that we need a little drama in the sport. Drama is what creates storylines. Let's be honest. You know, if you got Sean Cooney and Adam Armstrong, perfect example. Two young, hot, talented guys coming up in the sport mod division, and they're battling back and forth, back and forth. You can build the drama up between that rivalry without creating a fist fight melee, I'm gonna kick a mud hole in your backside type situation. You know, the drivers and the teams love it when you build that rivalry up, but you can also build it into a rivalry that doesn't end result in confrontation and fights and whatnot. The promoters, the one thing I would say is, especially with the women, if you see some burly guy getting in the face of some 70-year-old lady and he's just chewing her ass out and hovering over her, that's an intimidation factor. You know, none of us approve laying a hand on a woman. Why in the hell would you let a 6'6" guy, you know, theoretically hover over a lady in your stands? Nobody needs that. You don't know who's there. A potential track sponsor could be there for your track. And they're watching this and nothing's being done about it. Drivers, you're out there on social media running your mouth and you're threatening people. What potential sponsor is watching you for your race team? Kids, you're in the go-karts. You know, you're out there, well, this person did this and that person did that. The kids are learning it from the adults. But kids, remember, if the adults go rob a bank, are you gonna go rob a bank? No. So with that being said, it's not always monkey see, monkey do being a young racer. Just keep in mind, who's potentially watching you? You know, I'm not gonna name names, but we know a flat cart guy that got a pretty lucrative deal for next year. But I'll guarantee if he's running his mouth being all drama, it wouldn't have happened.
No.
Absolutely not. So we gotta maintain some responsibility as adults on social media. Everybody says social media is killing the sport. No, it's not social media. It's the people posting the stuff on social media. It's them that metaphorically pulled the trigger with that gun. Social media should be where we're talking about how cool a last lap pass. You know, Armstrong and Cooney, like you said, last lap, turn 4 is what decided the race. That is what should build the sport, not the, well, I'm gonna kick this person's ass and I can't believe this asshole did that. And let it go, guys. We're gonna race next week. And 9 times out of 10, the people that we're complaining about are usually our first beer drinking buddies 2 weeks down the road. It is.
That's like a lot of these guys that want to go out there and complain all the time. Tracks suck, drivers suck, racing sucks, whatever sucks. You come back next week.
Yeah.
You take an off season like all the rest of us, but you come right back next season too.
Yeah.
So if you hate the sport so much, I hate to say it, but get out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we need all the cars, all the fans, all the support we can get, but if you want to bitch all the time, just sell. Yeah. Be done. Be a spectator. Sit in your lazy boy and eat your Cheetos. I don't care. But the negativity, no matter what, does need to stop.
Yeah. Tell you what, on a more positive note, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be right back here, and then we're going to be hitting that rev limiter, 6,200 RPM wide open with what could be a legal or illegal crate engine. So stay tuned. It's Slinging Dirt.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. Come to Joe's to experience speed, join the competition, and ride the fastest indoor track around. Our professionally designed indoor karting track is perfect for arrive and drive racing, race classes, and racing competitions. We offer affordable pricing options, membership packages, event outings, and so much more. Stop in today to get registered for your next race, and don't forget to like us on Facebook for deals, giveaways, and more. Visit us online at joeskarting.com.
Warning, the related content may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, so lately there has been some, let's say, controversy over Facebook posts and what a driver or participant might post on his page, his private page, not the racetrack's page, and their reaction. Here at Supreme Enduro Series that I run, if you want to post on my page, your page, 10,000 pages, negative stuff about me, feel free, because I'll take all the publicity I can get to try and gain some cars. Now, while I do not like people going on and bashing a track repeatedly, and the track is this and the track is that, it isn't helping anybody. But they still have that right. It's their Facebook page, their post. If they go on the track's page and post it, then I think the track should have some repercussions. But if I want to go on my Facebook page and say the Supreme Enduro Series sucks, I wouldn't go there, their track is terrible, their car count's terrible, the guys drive like idiots, whatever I said, that's my right. You can't take that away. And you sure as the hell shouldn't be punishing for it. I don't know about tracks, but I need cars. And I'm pretty sure the tracks need cars. So if you're banning guys for what they say on Facebook, you're not only going to lose the guy you ban, you're going to lose his fans, and you're probably going to lose his buddies that would have raced there that aren't now because they're pissed off at you. And quite frankly, if you're trying to keep a track going, you need all the cars you can get right now. Car counts are down everywhere. So if you want to go in and I guess I disagree. Everybody has a right to express themselves. While I don't think it's necessary that we knock tracks, I think we should talk face-to-face with the promoters. Sometimes that's always not a possibility. So my theory is, if you want to bash a track, it's your right, while I don't agree with it, and I don't think it's the right of a track to ban you from the racetrack.
All right, well, welcome back, as Jamie Songer would call you jackwagons. So here we're near the end of Slinging Dirt, but I want to bring up something that's, as long as crate engines, the 602, 604 has been around, as long as the crate engine has been there, I gotta ask, do you think that, and it's not just an IMCA or a USRA or a NASCAR or a WISSOTA, do you think in general the sanctioning bodies could do a little bit more to police these things?
I do. Almost every week in tech, they check the same thing. They look at your chip.
Yep.
They look at your box. They look at your valve springs. They look at your chip. They look at your box. And they look at your valve springs.
Yep. And guess what happens the third week? They look at your chip. They look at your box. And here's...
What do they look at?
They
Your
look
box.
at your chip, they look at your box, and they look at your valve springs. That's the only three things you see on a routine basis that's teched, and it's not just on the crate motor. On open motors, they routinely check the same select items.
Here's my... I don't understand what the thought process is here. They come in, your top four in the feature at a weekly track, they take their flashlight like they're, rent-a-cop up here on their shoulder. Remember, the flashlight's only about 5 inches long, but it's up here on the shoulder. And they get down on the side of the car and they're like, Okay, you're good. What the hell did you just check? Was you checking to make sure my header bolts were still there, that they didn't back off? Were you checking to make sure that I had spark plug? What did you check on my motor?
Here's what I want to see more of. And this is just my opinion, and I know some of you drivers are going to hate this.
Keep in mind, you've been in tech probably more with a sport mod than I've ever seen anybody else.
I've been there once or twice.
Once or twice.
I mean, we've even had our cam timing checked on a sealed 602.
Yeah.
It was legal. Killed that rumor.
Yeah, killed that rumor.
And it is time consuming, but yes, you can check your cam timing. But I want to see them. I want to see them take everybody's boxes, open them up, take your top 5 in points every week. Take the boxes, open them up, make sure the wiring's good, make sure they're not putting dummy wires in. Change chips. Hell, I've even seen guys that had to change distributors. Take theirs out and put the tracks in.
Right.
I want to see more of this. I want to see crate motors and open motors alike being pumped after the features.
I do believe that it's easier to cheat up. It's easier to cheat up a claimer motor because you can take it apart right there in your garage.
Right.
I also believe at the exact same time, it's easier to cheat up a crate because you can just go, hey, here's $500. Go ahead and do this. You know, I've talked to teams personally that have told me that they've done this.
Well, and I know, and I won't disclose who it is because it's not my place, but I know that there is one business in particular within this region that for a couple extra $100, and it's a very, very reputable place, they'll tinker around a little bit for a couple Ben Franklins.
When we say we know, we're not BSing. We know. When I say I've had teams come to me and tell me that they've done this, okay, but it gives us insight as to what's going on.
And I can hear some people already saying, well, they have 2 seals. They have GM seals and IMCA seals. Correct, when you buy them new or you have them resealed by a reputable IMCA certified shop.
Right.
However, back in the day when there was no IMCA cable seal, you could buy the bolts offline.
Yep.
I know guys that did it.
Oh yeah.
The motors were still legal, 100% legal, but yes, they had been opened. And now that's why they brought out the IMCA cable seals.
But those are easy. You can get those off easy.
Getting them back on is the hard part because they're crimped.
Yeah, right. I've heard of guys, you know, we're not going to mention names, but 383s are real prevalent in the crate engines.
Yep.
I sincerely think that if we start, you know, checking cubic inch and or compression, you're gonna have an eye opener. And it does make me wonder. The one team that I was talking about, they're like, Bud, we know of 2 or 3 teams firsthand, because I've talked to the engine builder, that have taken their 602s and they've made them 383s. But you roll into tech in a sport mod, or even a 604 in the A mods, and they're like, oh, it's a crate, you're fine, on down the line you go. Tech them, or better yet, have a protest, or even better yet, and everybody's gonna love hearing me say this, do a swap option on the crates. But the problem is if I've got a legal motor and you have an illegal motor, and then we do a swap.
I'd be more than happy to give it up and watch you get busted.
Exactly. So at that point, the swap doesn't work. You have to make sure that to do a swap, you're gonna have to pump cubic inch, you're gonna have to pump compression, you're gonna have to tech the hell out of that motor to make sure they're getting fair's fair.
I think that would have to be a deal where, let's say it's a Sunday night race, you don't have to race again until Thursday for either party. Both motors go to an IMCA shop, they're checked, they're pumped, everything has gone through minus opening the motor.
Right.
And then guy A comes to get guy B motor, guy B comes to get guy A's motor, but you don't show up at the same time. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, keep all the conflict away. But then for the guys, let's say it's a Friday night track and you have to race Saturday, honestly, I hope you got a spare.
Yeah. You know, as lucrative as the 602, 604 crate market is,
Or even if you do this, let's say a track has a crate motor sitting there
Right.
and you swap it for the night. It's gonna make for a long day, and don't get me wrong, but you show up at noon, you pull your motor, you put their motor in, because it takes a whole 2 hours. But then at the end of the
But
night,
now come on. In the last segment, they'd be losing an hour of talking negativity on social
okay,
media.
so it takes 3.
Oh, yeah.
But then at the end of the night, as much as everybody hates to pull a hot motor, you take the Trax motor back out, you set yours back in, you get it bolted in tight enough it won't fall.
You know, everybody says that there's a lot of rampant cheating going on in the crates, and I'm not going to say I'm a firm believer in that, but I could see where it would be very easy to do because they don't check nothing on the crates. Now, Brett Root's probably in his office scratching his head, rolling his eyes, going, you guys are idiots. At Super Nationals in the tech tent, I have heard of people getting busted with illegal crates.
Because they'll check them.
They'll check them. But you go to a lot of these IMCA weekly tracks, it is with the little 5-inch flashlight on the shoulder. Yep, you're good. Go. What are you checking?
The only thing these lazy ass IMCA officials check anymore are your springs parallel on the rear end. Are your valve springs legal? Is your chip 6200? Well, the sticker on it says so. Ohm it.
Yeah.
There is a specific ohm number on those chips.
Yeah, I've seen tracks that have got decent tech, but I've also been to IMCA tracks where they don't even have scales. And that just baffles me.
And I'm not sitting here trying to bash on the IMCA officials. I just want to see them do more.
No, because it's not just IMCA.
Because
I will call out WISSOTA, USRA, NASCAR, unsanctioned tracks. Well, I raced at an unsanctioned track where one of the staff members' exact words was, well, we know he's illegal, but what do we do about it? We don't have any way of checking compression. Really?
you call an engine builder and say, you know what? We'll give you a couple $100 to come in and pump this thing down if you've got mobile equipment that can do it.
Yeah, it's just, wow.
Plus a free cheeseburger.
You know, I always thought I-80 Speedway, way back in the day, we're probably going 2009-ish, I want to say. And when they had the crate late model program, you bought an engine. You had to take that engine to a dyno shop in the Omaha market, dyno the motor, and you had to take the sealed motor with the dyno sheets to I-80 Speedway. I-80 Speedway then put it in their database. If your motor was like more than there was a tolerance of like 3 or 4 horsepower, or 20 horsepower. But most of the motors, almost all of them were within 4 horsepower of each other. If you've got 15 602 or 604 crate engines, and let's use a round number of 300 horsepower. They're making 300 horsepower, and all of a sudden one comes across at 330 horsepower, you're gonna have questions.
Right.
You know, so then they wouldn't allow that motor. I actually thought I-80 Speedway was pretty innovative in doing that. Well, even now, they don't do it. So
it got to be too much work.
yeah, I mean, it's really not hard to go to these crate engine retailers. And when I say not hard, if you're new to racing, you wouldn't know them, but there's some retailers out there that will actually open them up. They have the ability, they'll do the little secretive stuff, hush, hush. The one thing I will tell you new racers is if you see somebody on Facebook on one of these swap or race parts for sale pages and they're going, 602 crate, we'll discuss details privately.
Don't buy it.
Don't buy it. Run the other way. Run the other way very quickly. Also, when you're buying a crate engine, buy from a reputable dealer. Friesen Chevrolet, Carl's Performance, Speedway Motors.
And if you're buying a used one, make sure it's a reputable driver, team, something like that. Not just Jimmy from down the street.
Yeah,
unless,
you don't know.
Unless Jimmy is well known and known to be a clean racer, as far as cheating wise, we'll say, don't buy it.
Here's a true story. Now everybody knows that you helped Jesse Sabine. And I've had people tell me, well, Bud, should I buy one of Sabine's crates? I was like, yeah. Well, don't you think he cheats? I It's like, are you stupid? As many times as that guy is in tech, tracks made almost like a game out of trying to catch Jesse Sabine cheating with a motor. You've had everything done from cam timing to distributor to box. As many times as Jesse's been teched, you ain't got to worry about anything being illegal on that motor.
Right. The only thing you might have had to worry about this is change your valve springs after 5 nights, because we probably didn't.
Yeah.
But we would sell them at 20 nights.
Right. Now, you have a good point. Tom, Dick, or Harry, or their third cousin twice removed, Jimmy, down the street, they went out and bought a crate engine. You don't know nothing about them. They can't get out of their way on the track. I'd be a little leery about that. Where did you get? Because they probably bought the motor used. Right. And so then you don't know what's going on. Really follow who's using the crate engines. If you're hearing, I believe it's a stock car guy, a well-known stock car guy in Iowa, has been popped many times on illegal crates. You may not want to buy a crate from him. Well, and I do think he is authorized to sell them, but for whatever reason, he's been popped with them, and you'll know who I'm talking about here after the show. So, but with the crate engines, back to the topic at hand, I do think there needs to be more teching.
There really does. And I guess we're going to take this moment right now to call out every sanctioning body. It's going to piss drivers off having to stay in tech a little longer, or even show up before the races sooner if they want to do something, but I'll personally call out any sanctioning body to actually start to police a crate motor.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, more than your valve springs, your box, and your chip. I want cam timing, I want pumped, I want distributor swaps if the track has one available for your top guy that people are accusing of cheating.
I'll be the first one to let any track tech my motor. First of all, I know I ain't got nothing to worry about, but once you tech my motor, you pump it and check cubic inch and do all that fancy jazz, then I've got the peace of mind knowing that I am perfectly 100% legal. It also shows transparency to my sponsors, my fans, other drivers that, hey, Bud's not cheating.
Right.
If you have a problem with people teching your crate engine, I am going to ask, what's the issue? Well, I'm not cheating. Well, how do we know that? In this sport, cheating is so rampant. It's not just in the modifieds.
It's all over.
It's all over. And don't even get me started on the sport compacts. Oh my God. That's probably even worse yet than the sport mods or the modifieds. But actually, it's probably the most cheated up class from what I've been told. But with that being said, we need to do more with the crates. I do think the crate is a great low-cost, viable option for drivers like me that don't have a lot of money to be thrown at the race cars. The crates, the longevity is there. It's huge. I mean, it makes racing so much more affordable.
And every once in a while, you do find a bad one that there is an issue with, but that's where you take it to a certified IMCA shop to have it repaired.
Absolutely.
Don't ever try to open a damn thing by yourself.
Speaking of that, I know we're going a little long here on the subject, but when you're buying a crate engine, if you want, I think every time a crate authorized repair center fixes that crate, that, whether, I'm not accusing Speedway Motors of anything at all. I'm just using them hypothetically.
Right.
So you send your motor to Speedway Motors. Speedway Motors rebuilds your crate. When they rebuild the crate, when I say rebuild, they're putting just a new head gasket on. They're replacing one piston that melted in the motor. They reseal that. It doesn't matter what sanction you drive. The major sanctions, your IMCA, NASCAR, USRA, USMTS, WISSOTA, your top 5 guys, they send a quick photo of that motor, the seal, everything, boom, to those sanctioning bodies. Now, let's say you get popped at XYZ Speedway for having a 383-602 crate engine. If I remember right, I have never had to worry about this, but if I remember right, I do believe that there's a suspension and like a $5,000 fine with IMCA with an illegal crate now. With that being said, shouldn't the authorized repair center?
It should also be hit with a fine.
Absolutely. Because now I have to worry if you and I are racing against each other, Well, Matt Dennis got popped with an illegal crate. Where'd he get his crate? Speedway Motors. What do you think I'm gonna be wondering? Is my crate cheated up? Now, the only way they're gonna cheat up a crate is if you pay somebody on the side a little extra.
And like Bud said, we're not accusing Speedway Motors by any
Absolutely
means.
not. They're awesome.
It's being in Omaha, Speedway's in Lincoln, so they're close.
Yes.
And they're a nationally known company. They're a good example to use on this.
Yeah, and Speedway is just, for Speedway being Speedway, they're awesome. They're without Speedway, there wouldn't be a lot of dirt track racing. So we're just using them hypothetically because they're close. But I've often wondered, and we've talked off camera, if a driver gets hit with an illegal crate, I do think that repair center should have a fine or something levied against them. If they don't want to pay that fine or be levied against, well then IMCA or whoever can pull their certification to be an authorized crate repair center.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. I love the crates, absolutely love the crates. It's saved my racing career, but it's made me wonder how many of these crates, it's real easy to go, hey man, I have a brand new 602 crate. Talk is so cheap nowadays. If you came up to me and said, but I want to pump your motor, all right, I have no problem, go ahead. I've done to Lee Gardner when I won the AFI Triad Eagle. I told Lee Gardner, go check my valve springs. He goes, if I find them illegal, I'm gonna be key. It's like, duh, I told you to. Goes, the only reason why I want him to check my valve springs, guys, I put 180 nights, and that is no joke.
He's not lying.
I put 180 nights with a 514 gear on a 3rd mile track, spanked them, and they were 30 pounds too light. Lee Gardner can't believe that I didn't blow the motor up. But you've seen firsthand, I'm not lying. That's not an exaggerated number. So when he told me that, I was laughing. I was like, I know they're not illegal. But at least something, the other thing is it looked like he was checking my crate engine, which people were noticing. And so it made me feel better, but yeah, the crates, something's gotta be done about the crates.
Yeah, before we know it, the problem's gonna be too big to do anything with, and there's gonna be too many of these motors out there on the market.
Scary thing is have we reached that point yet?
Without knowing it, you never know.
Yeah. Tell you what, what's your guys' thoughts on these crate engine issues? I know a lot of you are telling me that they can't be cheated, and a lot of you are telling me that there's a ton of them out there cheated up. We want to hear your opinions, so. But we've been sitting on the rev limber for quite a while now, and our front pump is going out on the drive here. So with that being said, we're running out of ambition. We're going to catch you next week here on Slinging Dirt.